Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and another episode of Bogan's Advocate. We also have a brand new trailer, gameplay this time, for Galactic Racer, coming out later this year. And that dropped only 5 hours ago as of the recording for this podcast. But by the time you listen to it, it'll be far in the future. And you may have even forgot this trailer exists. So go and check it out. Go and type up Galactic Racer on YouTube and I'm sure you'll find it. We're also going to have another little adventure with our usual this time around. It's becoming a usual thing, I think, for the next few weeks while we have fun with these generated impromptu scripts that place us in the old diary of Anakin Skywalker. So we'll take a journey down memory lane with that as well. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
Liar!
All right, welcome back. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're playing Bogan's Advocate today. I feel like we all feel like liars whenever we're trying to come up with some interesting criticisms about the movie that we love. But
well, it's going to be extra tough today.
Yeah, it is. Very much is. But joining us today, that is the voice of your co-host, Blake. Welcome back, sir.
Hello, sir. Good to be back, as always.
Yes.
Haven't got kicked off yet.
That's right. We have our long returning co-host now tonight, Kirk. Welcome back.
It's good to be back.
Yes, always good to have you back. That is the sound of
Totally didn't mean to ditch for too long, but we're here now.
Yeah, no problem.
Welcome back, sir.
Welcome back. So, sorry, the little dingy you heard is low power on the Chromebook. So hopefully we don't die here. But all right, and also Dan, welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Our newest racer has arrived! Welcome to the Galactic League! Since you're here, why not take part in a friendly exhibition race?
If they weren't holding me back right now, I'd have you frozen in carbonite!
All right, so that is Galactic Racer coming out later this year. And it looks like, as opposed to the first trailer we got, it seems like we will be experiencing some pod racing going on, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty sweet. It's about time. It's only been 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So, like, what are your general thoughts on it there, Blake?
I've never seen someone kick the head off a pit droid so successfully. That was amazing.
Awesome. Also joining our show now is Darian. Welcome back, sir.
Sakurugar.
Hello.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing very good, thank you, sir. Yeah. Did you watch that new Galactic Racer trailer that came out today?
No, I did not.
Okay, all right. I was gonna. Okay, well, when you give it a watch, we'll get your 2 cents on it. But what about you, Dan? What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was really cool. I wasn't super excited when the first trailer dropped, but this one has me way more interested. I like that there was a storyline. I like the different planets they showed. It was cool seeing the pod racers show up. I'm as a fan of those type of games like F-Zero and like Mario Kart and just on arcadey racer games. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I am wondering about that. Do you think it's going to be Mario Karty in style, or is it going to be more of a traditional racing game?
I think it's more.
I hope it's more traditional with less like, hey, here's a power up and some crazy catch-up code. It's more realistic.
Yeah, I think
as far as a sci-fi racer is.
They could also be using like those old pod racer simulator arcade games as like kind of a.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, kind of just a benchmark, I guess, for like what people have really liked in the past, and maybe they're kind of basing it off that. But it looks like more on the realistic end.
I hope it doesn't turn into Star Wars Twisted Metal.
I know that Kirk is really excited about this game because Ben Quadinaros is coming back, and that's
your boy.
That's your boy, Kirk, right?
Oh yeah, my mouse was hovering on the dislike button right up until 124. Time code 124, and then it just went over like, subscribed, just put notifications on as soon as Quaddy Boy popped up. Oh yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. Well, I believe this is coming out on PC as well as Xbox Series X and S, as well as PlayStation 5, and I don't know if it's coming out on PlayStation 4 or not, but yeah, it doesn't, it looks like it's going to be a pretty sweet game. So definitely go and check that out. It's kind of nice to both receive a trailer for a Star Wars game and actually get one delivered within 12 months. It's like almost unheard of.
I was just wondering, because I was getting excited watching the trailer. Like, wait, is this going to be for something to come out like 8 years from now?
It's kind of sad, but we're kind of conditioned to that now, right? Like, a trailer comes out for a game and it's like, okay, you got to wait like a decade before you actually see it. It's ridiculous, man. Like, I feel like they should do the thing like they do with movies. It's like you start marketing the game, to build the hype for like when, within that same bracket of time that the movie's actually coming out. Like, I feel like that's a more relevant thing to do.
I feel like
but isn't it kind of nice to be able to like play the game with your teenage child that's a baby when the trailer first comes out? Like, you have to build up that anticipation their whole life.
I mean, like, there are kids right now graduating high school that still have not received the KOTOR remake that was promised to them when they were 13 5 years ago. Like, it's kind of sad that that's like a thing, right? But same with Star Wars Eclipse. Same with Star Wars Eclipse. It's like
Eclipse, that's it.
Yeah, that was 2021 or 2020 when that was, when that trailer came out, something like that. And here we are a couple of years later, still waiting for any more updates from that game. But yeah, anyway, so it's nice to see a trailer come out. Nice to see the game coming out after that. That's really cool stuff. But
it looked really crisp and clean. I just watched it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So did you ever play those old pod racing games?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I remember them on the N64.
Yeah, so there was also there was Pod Racer, and then there was Racer Revenge. That one came out a little bit later, I think, on GameCube. But they remain some pretty iconic. There's some pretty iconic Star Wars ship-based games that a lot of maybe older fans would remember. I think the only modern one is called Star Wars Squadrons, I believe. That's the new EA one, right? Is it called Star Wars Squadrons?
Well, that wasn't a racing one.
Sorry, say again?
That wasn't a racing one. That was the X-Wing.
No, that was the X-Wing TIE Fighter game. Yeah, but those one. Yeah, that was the only modern ship-based game. And then
how long ago did the Kinect come out?
That was that was 2012. Yeah, you're right. That had a pod racer kind of arcadey mode.
It was pretty extensive from what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, it had a few maps and you could play as a few different racers. I think. Yeah, it wasn't I own the game. Can't say I loved the pod racing section of it. Like it was cool. I don't know. I never really. I don't know. Like we always played that Rancor mode, and the dancing mode with with Han Solo.
Yeah, dream come true. Finally get to dance with old Han.
Yeah,
this deal is getting worse all the time.
So, yeah. Anyways, there was loads of X-wing games in the past. You know, TIE Fighter. Yeah, a lot. So I mean, it's cool to see another like ship game kind of come out. And this one is very much, I call it a ship game because it's not just a pod racing game. Like it's kind of beyond that. It's just just racing in general, which is kind of a cool theme because that was a big theme of George's, in his movies, and so it's kind of neat to see a game play some homage to that. But
wasn't there recently Art of Augmented Reality pod racer game?
Yeah, there was.
It was third person though. There was you're looking down like a tabletop board game.
Yeah, I think I was asking Dan about that because he's got one of the new Quest headsets, and I don't know. Did you get a chance to play that new one, Dan?
No, I never did.
Okay, all right. Well, whenever
I'm meaning to check it out.
Yeah, if you ever do, let me know, and it would be great to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, it was called Beyond Victory. So that was also kind of a vehicle ship-based narrative, I suppose. But I have no idea the extensiveness of how much they built it up and how big it is in terms of scale. Because obviously I'm not really counting like the arcadey kind of experiences, but like full-fledged games. So yeah, I don't know. Really neat to see a AAA title come out with Star Wars racing in mind. It's pretty cool.
About time.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the meat of things here. Get some Bogan's Advocate going on. All right, so Bogan's Advocate, for those of you guys who are new to the game, what we do here is we take a movie or show or series or whatever that we are either have positive or negative feelings towards, and then we try and find the opposite opinions of what we share and try and find some criticism somewhere, perhaps some complaints, perhaps there's one or two things that you would have changed about the movie. It could be anything, and I guess the whole point of this is to really open up, different sets of perceptions on things. Everyone's got a certain way of looking at things, and even in the movies that we love the most, I'm sure there's one thing that we may change or may wish were different or whatever. So that's kind of the fun of the game, I suppose, is trying to rack our brains thinking about, because obviously we love all these movies, and maybe there's one or two that we don't like, but generally speaking, I mean, we we like Star Wars stuff. So I think in general we're usually going to try and be able, most of the time I think we'll be trying to think of things that we don't like, seeing as we probably lean towards the side of things that we do like a lot more. So. This week we are doing A New Hope, and I'm gonna put Blake on the spot here with perhaps your first thing, Blake. Like, what would you kick us off here? What would you give?
Well, I should say that I'm a big fan of this movie, and so it's gonna be very challenging, I think, depending on which version, I guess. Because you said we could open up to whichever version we want to talk about.
I think if that makes it kind of easier, because of course the definitive edition now is the most recent version that they've come out with, which is technically the 4K Blu-ray, or otherwise the version you would find on Disney Plus right now.
That being said, I feel like if everyone ends up just picking on George's special edition effects, it might be a little bit too easy.
The first or second round of special edition effects.
Well, the first round is very rough.
Yeah.
Or are you referring to the first kind of head twitch of Han Solo?
Like the proto Jabba the Hutt?
Or the cleaned up version?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm talking about like, yeah, I mean, I guess, to make it easier, I suppose, because some of the changes have rolled out through multiple versions, like the Jabba the Hutt replacement was, that was inserted in the first round of special editions, and then that was like later improved, and then that version kind of stuck, and since then it hasn't really been re-improved again. So, I mean,
if you're opening it up to anything, that's exactly the one I would probably take. The Jabba scene is rough, man.
All right.
It'd be fine if Han just didn't step on Jabba's tail, which makes no sense. That would get him thrown in the torture chamber.
Fair enough, yeah. What was that, Darian?
A fan did a remaster of that entire scene a few years ago, and he has the walking hologram table from Phantom Menace, and Jabba's a hologram on the table, and the scene works so much better that way. It's a shame that Lucasfilm has them.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a creative way to kind of fix it, I suppose. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
It looks like Jurassic Park quality. Like it looks like it is.
Well, what would you give for this, Darian? Like, if there's one thing you could change about A New Hope, what would it be?
The 40 minutes of nothing that happens after the battle on Tantive 4 and Luke getting off of Tantive.
So like George's favorite scene in the movie basically is the two droids in the desert.
Rewatching that recently, it's like I forgot how long this was.
Yeah,
it does take a long time. Yeah.
It does perfectly work. Like, don't get me wrong. It is a masterful way to tell that story, and they do earn everything. But it's also like, oh man, I've been watching all the action-packed parts of Star Wars lately, so this is kind of a slog.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Yeah, what about you, Dan?
It's a perfect movie. No, I think there's not enough spinning. Like, I wish the battle between Vader and Ben Kenobi had a lot more spinning and jump flips and stuff.
More cool tricks.
The prequels, you had all these spinning lightsaber fights, and then suddenly here you have nothing. They're just standing there fighting like a normal person would with a sword.
Yeah, I think that would, I mean, that kind of comes to mind for me as well. I know that there is one channel on YouTube that has spent many hours making a new remastered version of that duel, and it's turned out very, very well. But I mean, fan projects are fan projects, and it's like that's not in the movie, right? So I would love it if they had, in one of the special editions, like had gone back and possibly enhanced that entire duel. But
it's surprising that George didn't do that.
Yeah, and yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. It's time and money.
I'm
right?
actually being a Bogans advocate. I don't want that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think people
actually prefer the slower lightsaber battles, but like I know like people like the more actiony, jumpy, flipping around. So,
and now it comes right on the heels of the fight from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show too, with the same two characters, which is just like night and day difference.
There's like 20 years between those fights, dude.
9 years. Like
it's only 9? Okay.
Yeah, from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series you're talking about, right, Blake?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, there's only like 9 years.
Oh, no, I think he's talking about this filming.
Which filming? Sorry?
Were you talking about the years in between filming the movies, or like actually?
No, I think that'd be like 40.
Yeah, I know, like the actual in-universe events. Yeah. All right, what about you, Kirk? What things come to mind?
Look, if I really have to push, I would say the jump cut scene when the lightsaber first turns on. It's like there's this like a little glitch because like they've just stitched 2 clips together when Luke turns on the lightsaber for the first time on the ship. That always bugs me when I watch it.
Yeah, like when they have to stick the shaft in the hilt.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And that happens with every shot too, like every single shot that the lightsabers go on. Yeah, I think there's only one that's actually maybe not as bad,
which is like it only happens once. I feel like I remember in like Empire and all the other ones, like it looks great. Just that one.
Obi-Wan's is also on the Death Star. Like Obi-Wan's does that too. Like he
true. So I'm not sure why they've never that one just doesn't. It's like the first time you ever see a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then like it just does that. But that's not a huge. That's not a huge thing. My if I was going to really be Bogan's advocate and like say but this is because of, recent introductions. And that is just like because of like Andor and watching all of that and how all those people did all those sacrifices to get the Death Star plans, and then like you've got 3 cowboys just jumping onto the Death Star and getting a medal afterwards. I find that so funny. And then you just kind of think about all the other rebels that are sitting in the crowd being like, look, what do we do? What do we get? These 3 idiots just
come out of nowhere, do everything by accident.
But that's not me, saying it's an annoying thing on New Hope. It's just I find that so funny.
I do kind of I see, and I mean, just to go back to what you're saying about the Andor thing, like I guess as they add more stories to this saga, it does become ever more apparent that some of the styles and some of the angles of telling the story become very desirable attributes to want to have in future stories, right? And everyone really loved how they handled the political stuff in Andor, and it's like, okay, everyone's got their own style and stuff, but I wish that some of those things had maybe, I guess, obviously this is like, we're talking about a movie that was made in 1977 here, but like, it would be cool if maybe some of those like newer things that George came up with later maybe worked its way into the special edition. Like I know that there's a lot of complaints over the years of like CG insert here and there. It's like, okay, well, to me, it's like, that doesn't bother me that much because, I watch movies all the time where there's like environment, CG environment inserts, to kind of set the scene and stuff. And like, that's a very normal thing to do. It's just, it's, I guess with an older movie, especially in the 90s when CG first got going, it's, they stick out more of a sore thumb in the grand edit of things. But, it's not the CG that bothers me as much as what could have been inserted instead. And, some other scenes, like I do like that sequence with Jabba, and I think like using some chopped footage like that is a pretty cool editing trick. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, there's some other interesting things that maybe could have been inserted as well, and maybe a missed opportunity. But I think as far as like the actual finished product goes, I mean, the lightsabers have always bugged me. There's one shot that Obi-Wan points his lightsaber kind of at the lens of the camera, and it makes it look like a stick. It's like
I remember that. Yeah, that was very unfortunate. For a long time, I thought his lightsaber was broken.
Yeah, and I just think to myself, like,
not working.
Like, man, like ever since like Return of the Jedi, they've been able to do lightsabers better. Like it's even Empire, like it blows me away that in all of the special editions, they didn't fix that. Like out of everything that they changed and inserted or whatever, it's like you can't just paint over the lightsabers with like the better version. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of strange, It's like, okay, well, we're going as far as inserting CG Jabba into a movie that was made how many decades ago? Like, what difference would it make if you had a better looking lightsaber blade, right? Like,
sorry, Josh, there's just no budget for that. We're too busy adding droids and strange creatures as we go into Mos Eisley.
Yeah, totally, right.
Especially the lightsaber when Luke turns it on in Obi-Wan's house there. It looks like it's 2 pieces of cardboard that are bouncing light. And it's not even blue in that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, the color too. Yeah. That's another good thing to bring up. Like the color is not nearly as consistent, of course. And that's partially due to how those lightsabers were filmed, right? Like it was a partial analog camera trick as well as an analog method of getting the color, right? So like the glow itself was not like a visual effect as much as it is like a practical like lens effect. It would,
I think it had rotating like mirrors in a tube or something.
It was a reflective stick. I think they like the rotating motor on I don't know if they used them for all the shots, but like in some of the shots they had like a little rotating shaft and it would spin around, and that's how you got kind of like the flickering kind of effect or the but then the actual like glow was coming like from that filament or something that they put on the rod itself, which it's so cool. I mean, like there's a science behind it that, I guess as time goes by, like the art form would be forgotten if it wasn't, retold and preserved. And it's like, hey, this is how this was done. But yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, but it looks kind of bad. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like it's like, okay, well, I mean, it's genius and it's cool and it was amazing for that time. But like, if you're doing a refresh of a movie and adding all these modern things, it's like, why not change that, right? Because you've already gone so far to change all these other things.
It is very strange.
It is a nice thing that they utilize the defect of the camera to do a graphic effect in real life. Like if you look at the scenes where they're in the canteen, you got Greedo and the other Rhodians where their eyes have this like holographic effect. With a modern camera, you wouldn't get that. It would actually just see through the lenses. But it just looks so cool, and they really pop, especially next to everything else being matte. So I love some of the old things that they did with the tricks of the camera back in that you don't get in the new movies.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very cool stuff. I don't know, like maybe Kirk can also speak to some of that stuff too, because like he's been studying cinematography for a little while now. But yeah, I mean, is there
which part are we talking about again specifically?
It just kind of, we went down the rabbit hole really with the lightsaber thing, but how it was like practically done, right? Like
yeah, I mean, it also like I don't know. I do prefer the look in this. I might be ruffling some feathers here, but I prefer the look in these versus the sequels and the prequels. I don't know why. They just look a little bit more
vintage.
Like a little bit, yeah. They look a little more vintage. They look a little because they're not perfect like blades, and they were done back then. They kind of look more like in tune with the rest of like the Star Wars aesthetic, I guess, like those Ralph McQuarrie drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like that they they're my favorite. Like I think also Luke's blue lightsaber as well is my favorite color, the way it looks. So, but definitely, definitely my favorite look of them.
Yeah. And if I was to really pick a bone here, like, I mean, I think I would probably say something like, I don't know, like the Vader's helmet or something, like, like some of the
red lenses.
Not specifically the red lenses, but just the look of it, I guess, because like the look of it changed, and
it changed a lot to Empire, with like his torso and the robes over top, around.
Exactly, yeah. So there were some things that were just I guess visually just different, or like later adjusted, and I don't really know why, but I guess for me, consistency is like a big thing, and I don't know, maybe that's a fault for Empire. I have no clue, but like maybe it was not done quite right the first time, and maybe that was the fault on A New Hope, right? Like I have no idea, but it's just something I'm bringing up, just because I'm really trying to dig deep here, but like in throwing that one out there. But yeah, anyone got any others?
One of my favorite moments in A New Hope. Can we do that?
Yeah, for sure. When
Obi-Wan gives Luke a lightsaber, he starts digging around in the ignition end of it and like puts it up to his eye and stuff. And it's just like Obi-Wan just sits back and kind of lets it happen. And it's like this guy's about to get a Darwin Award, and you just chill it out.
Oh boy! All right. Is everyone good? Is everyone?
You know what? I'm going to throw out one more. A complaint is that they cut Biggs Darklighter out of the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, that's
gotta bring him back. Bring back Biggs.
But you see, again, like that kind of, I guess you could envelope that into my other category that I mentioned, which being like, out of all the things that they inserted, it's like there was things that could have probably been better spent on, I guess, what they remastered to insert again, right? Like, I mean, I know it changes the pacing of the movie, but there's some scenes that you meet, Biggs early on, and then later on in the movie you meet Biggs again, right? And then there's this
you get this reunion when you first meet Biggs.
Exactly.
You see like a whole catch-up thing.
Exactly, yeah. And then now
you get the story of how Biggs originally left to fight for the Empire, right?
Right.
He went to be a TIE pilot.
Yeah, that's right. He was also, am I thinking of the right character? But I think there was some character that, or I might be thinking of the wrong one. Oh, I think it was Wedge. Wedge is the one that was
a TIE fighter pilot.
Yeah, he was part of the Empire. He was the one that showed up in Star Wars Rebels.
That's right, yeah.
Wedge, yeah.
Who's Luke's mate again? In that deleted scene where they're at the bar and they step outside the bar and they're looking towards the sky or something.
That's Biggs.
Yeah, no, that's
Biggs.
no, that's not Biggs. That's
that not Biggs?
No, that's oh man, maybe Dan can help me out with this. Like I think because they put this. They were in the Book of Boba Fett, right? It was like Cammy and something or another.
Oh, there's 2 people and Biggs, I thought.
Oh yeah, there's a girl and her boyfriend that are sitting in there, and they're very small.
Cammy Marstrap and Laz Lonozer.
Lonely Laz.
Yeah. So those two, those are the 2 that you see in those deleted scenes, and
he comes back when they're on Yavin 4, right? When they're all kind of like hugging each other before they go up.
Yeah, Biggs shows up again. Yeah, Laz and Cammy, you don't see them ever again. But Biggs.
I think they're supposed to go on a transport. They're on the way to Alderaan, I think.
Okay, yeah. There was that little like cantina place that they were hanging out in, and I think Biggs may have shown up in that sequence, but yeah, they showed up in the Book of Boba Fett, and so I guess they ended up going nowhere. But
it'd be a shame if something happened to them on Alderaan.
Yeah,
it would be a real shame.
We're gonna take a nice vacation over to Alderaan. Here it's nice this time of year.
This deal is
getting worse all the time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, people can look those deleted scenes up on YouTube as well, just if anyone's wondering. But
so is the refurbishment or like the official Star Wars / Lucasfilm re-release of the 50th anniversary of this, is that actually gonna happen, or is that just rumors still?
Yeah, that's happening. That's so they've finally taken the original edit and they've remastered it. And this version of the film was actually screened last year to a very small bunch in England somewhere, and it had something to do with the archiving of that film. And now it's going to be used again because I guess they've digitized it, and they're going to be playing it at Star Wars Celebration for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. So. Pretty exciting stuff, kind of cool. For anyone who didn't
think George Lucas is genuinely not happy that they're doing this?
Probably. I mean, to be honest, I don't think he really cared all that much. But at the same time, it's like I don't think he
I think he cared about the special edition, but not the special edition, the holiday special.
Oh, geez, yeah.
trying to bury that one, but not necessarily trying to bury this one.
Yeah, I think it's because
I think you're just holding it out of spite.
Well, with the special editions, like that was his vision, right? Like he wanted those things in the movie, and like to him, like that's what he prefers, right? So I think it's almost like, I guess, if somebody really wanted to see like your first edit of maybe a short film that you did, and then you're like, but why would you want to see that version? Like there's all these other things I've fixed. But to that person, that version is more valuable because it's like the first one, right? So like I think it's the same for George. I think he's just like kind of indifferent. He's like, I don't know why people want to watch that version. Like it's grainy and it kind of sucks. Like, I mean, I have that version on DVD. It sucks. Like there's like scenes that are super green. Like it's like grainy is not cleaned up.
Art.
It's not clean, man. Like it's just
the original art.
Oh my goodness. It's like
pure.
We're talking
the thoughts and computers.
I'm like,
Josh does not express for all the members of the Escape podcast.
I can't see the movie behind the grain.
It's in its original 240p glory.
Who is this guy? Who's this guy? Get him off the podcast.
There's a big film blotch over his face.
That's all you want.
Oh man.
Listeners' discretion is advised.
Yeah. But it is kind of cool though that they finally cleaned it up, and it's like, okay, cool. People get to see it for
I really want to know how they cleaned it up. Like what is the process? So do they have to like go into those like cracks and debris and all that stuff and have to like assume what would be there, and then by frame like paint that through or something? Like how do they do? Yeah,
a lot of it is handled by AI now. Like
because I was watching what was I watching the other day? I was watching Back to the Future Part 3 the other day on my 4K Blu-ray, and it was like the movie was like fantastic, obviously, but straight after the movie played, the the BTS started playing, like the documentary, and actually no, so not even that. The deleted scenes started playing, and like that footage like looks like terrible compared to like there's just massive scratches all over it. Like there's black blotches and everything. So I'm really curious. Like maybe that's a thing I want to look into now.
Yeah, I mean,
how they actually fix all that.
If you ask me, because I don't know everything about it, but a lot of video games these days are also, even if you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation, like the resolution that you're getting is not a true native output of 4K as far as like the rendered image goes. Like there's a lot of like software and hardware combined efforts to upscale your image and to generate extra frames in between other render frames. Like there's a lot of work happening in there behind the scenes to create this like polished looking thing that you're seeing on the screen. And a lot of like up-resing techniques and denoising techniques now rely on the same type of technology. So when I say AI, it's not like, most people might be, it's probably not the
like
AI that
prompt.
Yeah, it's not the AI that they're thinking about. But I mean, this type of tech's been around a long time. Like, yeah. And so but these tools are getting better and the hardware is getting better. And I think it's maybe just at the point now where it's like, okay, let's scan these old negatives. And we can not only up-res it to a really great quality now, but we also have the tools to, within an efficient budget, make it look as clean as possible, and while also retaining the original look of the film. So it's a neat thing, right? Like it's nice that they found the time and the money to do it, because I don't think George is the one that's done this. This is obviously Disney that's put out the money to restore the original movie and to archive it in this higher quality format. So. Good on them, right? Like, good on them for doing such a thing. I wonder
once it's released, then it's out there, and that's now the definitive canon version.
Plus, for a historical viewpoint, it's cool to compare the different versions and just see, like, hey, this is like, there's different versions for different people, and some people prefer the cartoony, more like special edition, and then some people prefer the old original, like as it was originally presented version, and you can have best of both worlds. And
yeah, totally. And
choose your own adventure. Yeah.
And the thing with these movies now, I think we're all at the point now, it's like, okay, we know the story. Like we know that even if you love the original movie, it's like, in your subconscious that the canon story now is that somewhere in between the edits, Han Solo had a chat with Jabba. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but then you can watch that original edit and go like, this is the one I like. This is the one I prefer, and I don't need to constantly rewatch all this other stuff that might be an eyesore to me or somebody else. Like I can just enjoy the movie, the version that I want to watch, and the one I grew up with or whatever, but in a nice clean format that actually looks good on today's flat screens. And and that's another thing too. It's right, like some formats don't look nearly as nice because of the technology we're watching them on. It's just it's a different experience nowadays. So
the bar is much higher.
Yeah, I mean,
or
like
expected quality.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like so my dad has this like 80-inch Sony OLED TV in his basement, and he has this he bought like it's not a cheap piece of hardware, but it's like a VHS scanner box. So you put your VHS in the player, and it records it off to any.
You might need to explain what a VHS is to our younger.
Yeah,
listeners.
like a videotape, old school, home video.
What's a videotape?
Home video.
Like Scotch tape.
And so like you hit a record button, and it records onto a flash drive or any kind of piece of like flash memory device, and you can take that digital scan essentially, or that digital like recording of the VHS, and in its, I guess the highest quality you could probably get for an at-home solution, and play that back digitally. But it looks bad, and like this thing also it doubles as a player for the TV. But it just doesn't look very good, blown up on a 80-inch like 4K television at home. Like it's a different type of experience than watching those on those old CRTs. So, I mean, it's kind of too bad, really. But, I'm glad that they're putting in the effort to preserve the history, if you will.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, does that mean that people who collected the laser disc are going to lose value?
I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, you know, everything, including VHSs, like everything degrades over time. I think the only thing that has like 100-year lifespan on it is technically modern Blu-rays. But VHS
what about DVD?
tapes,
How do they lose over time? Just scratches? Or like what else?
Oh, you mean TVs? I thought you were talking about VHSs.
No, DVD.
Oh, DVDs. Yeah, they mold. You know, like over time, like
they mold.
Yeah, like DVDs, VHSs, like, you know, laser discs. Like eventually they can get moldy, right?
Man, I didn't know they were on the same tier as like bread.
I think like I think DVDs last a lot longer than VHSs, but you know, if you're not taking care of them, you can get something called disc rot, and it's just because the chemicals in the chemicals that they use to make the disc, eventually things break down, right? So it's not ideal, but I mean, you know, but the Blu-rays are much more durable material. So anyway, we're getting super off topic here, but
so
I learned something.
There is disc rot. You can get oxidization, however you say it, of the recording layers known as disc rot that can make discs unreadable.
Yeah.
So just over time,
yeah, exactly,
they oxidize and then they fall apart.
Yeah.
Shelf life is normally 30 to 100 years for a DVD.
Yeah. 30 to 100 years. Yeah. So like 30 years though, like for a DVD, I mean, if you think about it like that, like, you know, we're already 20 years. If you have a Revenge of the Sith DVD, like, you know, you only have like maybe 10 years left before that starts to possibly degrade. You know?
Oh no.
So I mean, yeah, I mean that's why it's, you know, it's great to, you know, Blu-rays are on
my collection.
I think 4K Blu-rays and standard Blu-rays, they're supposed to last like longer than 100 years at the very minimum. So
well, I mean, you'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never know because the disc will outlive you. That's all that matters.
Blu-rays are 50 to 100 years, so yeah, it's about the same issue, disc rot.
Yeah,
oh, interesting.
Same issue, only but 50, at least they last longer though, right?
Yeah, commercial DVDs are usually 30 to 50 years, and it's the archival DVDs that last 100 years, whereas Blu-rays are typically just 50 to 100 years.
Right.
So, yeah, they're about double the lifespan of a DVD.
Yeah. So yeah, buy your Blu-rays, people. All right. Does anyone have any last things to bring up before we transition over here?
Hand shot first.
I'm surprised no one brought that up.
Because you let us pick our own version.
Yeah, talk about choose your own adventure. Like you're watching the movie and then a pop-up comes like, does Hand shoot first or does he shoot?
Which would you prefer?
Yeah, I'll take extended French rum with a side hand shot.
Okay. All righty. We love A New Hope. It's an iconic movie. We all love it very much, and this has been fun. So, all right, let's move on here because we've got one last thing to wrap it up for tonight, which is a little bit of a short story that we're gonna go through. It's a 2-page funny script, and I will explain it in just a moment. Let's do this. All right, Blake, you want to take us away and explain what's going on here?
Sure. So recently, Josh and I were stopped by a cantina, and the barkeep, he happened to have this book, and he passed it to us, and we found out it was actually the lost diary of Darth Vader from his teenage years. Believe it or not. So we decided we might like to share some of the passages from this journal.
I know, it's been fascinating reading through it. I mean, there's some, it's almost like as you read it, it's almost like it really just puts you in the moment, you know? Like it's coming to life or something. You're
really there, no matter how trivial the moment could possibly be.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so let's, I know last week we read a chapter with our friend Steve, which by the way, definitely go and check that episode out because we celebrated Star Wars Podcast Day, which is an annual celebration of the day that a first Star Wars podcast hit the internet. So definitely check that one out. And we did our first reading at the very end of that episode for the first chapter of Vader's Diary. And so we're going to go into episode 2 here. This one is called Wisdom versus Wanderlust. And the setting, a balcony on Coruscant. The sun is setting, casting long shadows. Anakin is staring wistfully toward the Senate apartment complex. Obi-Wan is nursing a cup of tea, looking exhausted. Master, have you noticed that Master Yoda's hair is migrating? Migrating? Anakin, he's 800 years old. It isn't migrating, it's surrendering. It has seen enough of the galaxy and decided to depart. But it's only on the sides. It's like a tiny white swamp, grass crown. I mean, why doesn't he just use the Force to stimulate the follicles? If I can move a starship, surely he can move a hairline. Because, Anakin, a Jedi does not crave vanity. Master Yoda embraces the decay of the physical form. He understands that luminous beings we are, not this wispy, thinning matter. I don't know. I think he'd look more intimidating if he had a full head of hair. Imagine Yoda with a mohawk or a braid. He could have his own Padawan braid made out of his own lingering side fuzz. That is a terrifying mental image. Please, let us show some respect. The man is the Grand Master of the Order. His scalp is a map of centuries of wisdom. It looks more like a map of the Dune Sea. It's dry, it's barren, and I'm pretty sure I saw a spice spider nesting in it during the last council meeting. You are particularly fixated on the aesthetics today. Is there a reason you're comparing a legendary sage to a dried-up crate tuber? It's just contrast, Master. I was just thinking about Senator Amidala. Here we go. She's like the opposite of Yoda. Her hair alone is a masterpiece. It's thick, it's flowing, and it smells like a buoy in wildflowers. Have you seen her latest headpiece? It's a structural art. I mean, she's the peak of biological perfection. She's a politician, Anakin, and you are a Jedi. You shouldn't be comparing the sexiness of a senator to the crustiness of your superiors. It's highly irregular. I'm just saying, it looks like a goddess carved from starlight, and, the other looks like a wrinkled green raisin that's been left in the starfighter's tailpipe. How can they both be part of the same republic? It's called the diversity of life, Anakin. Besides, Yoda has a certain charm, a rugged, swampy charisma. Master, if Padme walked in the room and Yoda walked into a room, nobody is looking at the raisin. She radiates grace. She has skin like polished marble. Yoda has skin like a topographical map of a swamp. And yet, if the galaxy were ending, I'd rather have the raisin by my side than the goddess. Though I suppose the goddess is much better at hosting dinner parties. I like to see Yoda try and wear a backless gown. That is enough. I'm going to meditate until the image leaves my brain. And for the love of the Force, stop staring at the Senate building. Your appreciation for art is becoming a public safety hazard.
Bravo.
All right, there we go.
Well done.
All right. Well,
the idea of Yoda wearing a backless gown will haunt me forever.
Lives rent free in your brain, does it?
It's an image I never would have thought that was in my head, and now it is. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yes. Yes.
Star
Next time,
Escape Pod is the pod for you.
Next time I go watch Empire Strikes Back, that's literally going to be the first thing that I'm going to think about when he comes on screen.
If you're watching with somebody, you should tell them.
How embarrassing.
If I'm watching it with someone and tell them without context, hey, can you imagine this little green guy in a backless dress? They'll just look at me and be like, all right, I've had enough watching this. I've had enough watching this movie.
A new thumbnail for the
I think
podcast.
it's time to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can always try one of those fancy image AI generators and type in the prompt, but I'm sure it'll return a very horrifying image, to say the least. But
oh no, it's going to be all over Twitter.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, next week I'm sure we'll hear another one of these fun entries from Vader's diary. So thank you for giving us the breakdown on that, Blake. Yeah. Any of you guys last minute things to bring up before we wrap it up here?
I guess just counting down the days till we get Shadow Lord or the next thing.
Yeah, I suppose that is. Only what is that? 2.5 months away or something like that? Not even. So
closer and closer. Oh, you should mention the Jar Jar comic just came out.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Jar Jar the one shot issue number 1, partially also like co-written by Ahmed Best himself. Has hit shelves as of the dropping of this episode. It will now have been 2 weeks or a week and a half ago or something. Blake and I actually found the variant arts priced very well within $1 of the newsstand edition. So, and there's 3, but pick your favorite. I think we're just gonna kind of put it away for a rainy day after reading it, of course. And then maybe if you ever run into Ahmed Best, you can get him to sign it. And if you get variant issue number 1. He's got both Jar Jar and Kelleran Beck on the front cover of this comic book, which is both of his characters. So make sure you pay for him.
Perfect thing to get signed.
Get him to sign it twice. Yeah.
Do I have to pay for it twice?
Probably. Unless you just tell him to sign it twice for funsies, maybe he'll do it. I imagine he'd probably do something like that. If it's the same object. Okay, can you sign it twice?
Maybe. There's just slip him an extra 20, maybe. He's already there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Dan, Kirk, and Darian. May the force be with you all, and we'll see you in another one.
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
This is the way.
All right. Thanks to our audience, of course. April 6th, look for Maul Shadow Lord coming out on Disney+. Check out that Star Wars Day episode, and next week we'll hear a short story about tight fits and high stakes in the Jedi Temple locker room between Anakin and Obi-Wan, as well as Bogan's Advocate, episode 5. See you later.